welcome back to another episode of Girl What You Doing. I'm here with Zay, a St. Louis designer, creative, and community advocate.
How y'all doing?
So to start, you have a brand called PrayForMe. So what kind of inspired the creation of PrayForMe, and was there a specific moment that made you say, you know what, I'm gonna go for this?
I would say what really inspired me to create PrayForMe, honestly, just growing up as a black kid in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I wasn't always super vocal, expressive, so I kind of wanted to find different ways to express myself through art, design. I played basketball when I was younger, but I really wasn't super verbal per se. So
that makes sense.
Just kind of channeling my different inspirations. Honestly.
Yeah, a different way to express yourself. That makes sense. So what were the early days like? When did you start? Because I know I was first exposed to PrayForMe probably when I was in high school.
Okay.
So when did you actually start?
That's great. When I started, honestly, so I really started my creative path in high school. As far as fashion design and clothing design, in particular, I didn't start until I got college at Mizzou, both Mizzou alums. But honestly, in high school, I really started just dabbling in photography, modeling, a little bit of fashion design, but not nothing on the technical side.
All right, and then where did the name come from? And what does it kind of represent? I feel like that's something I've always wondered.
That is the name PrayForMe. I really just felt inspired by everybody that looked like me, that had similar experiences to me, growing up in a city like St. Louis that had so many different implications, systemic racism, just being a black kid growing up in the environment, that we grew up in, it's different. Everybody, I feel wants to kind of be embraced and be prayed for as we navigate, different situations and experiences in life. And just navigating that myself, I feel like that was a good way to name the brand. And just my experience. At first I was like, okay, this is gonna be just a creative trial, and then I was like, well, I really developed it into a streetwear brand, so I was like, yeah, pray for it.
I love that. Okay, and I feel like that kind of, I wasn't going to ask this just yet, but I feel like that kind of goes into another question. So how has it expanded into more than just clothing? So I know you have even interactive experiences for people to actually physically attend. So how has it kind of expanded over the years?
It really started off, so when I was in Mizzou, I had conducted a couple art exhibits.
Okay, that's really cool.
And I did a few different pop-up shops as well, but I really just wanted to get on the side of exposing myself more, or giving people a chance to see my art in person. I feel like that physical appeal is different.
And kind of going off of that too, when you were talking about people being able to physically experience your brand, I feel like now we're in a time where a lot of brands prioritize social media engagement, like having X amount of followers or likes and going viral and stuff like that. And so how do you kind of create such a personal experience for your consumers without having all of the likes and followers and interaction?
I feel like me personally, and a lot of my friends, my close friends, they kind of kill me about this. They bro, you think you so serious, X, Y, Z. I'm never super vocal or up in front on social media. So it's been kind of different for me as a creator, just constantly finding different ways to produce media constantly and figuring out what the consumer wants, what social media users kind of perceive. It's kind of been a different experience. So I kind of just operate individually, how I plan to expose my art and whatnot in the designs. And lately I've been trying to get more in the mode and more in my bag of more physical and constant material, as well as constant media. Just different ways. So I'm trying to expand as well. So it's kind of finding that balance. So not oversaturating yourself, but kind of delivering good quality content. And that's kind of what my huge focus has been on.
Okay, so I definitely feel you because I'm an introvert and obviously I have a podcast. That's something that's based on social media. You promote yourself on social media.
Right.
And so I'm the type of person, I will log out of my main Instagram for weeks at a time. And my friend was telling me, she was like, how are you gonna, build this brand and you don't even build your personal brand? She was like, you just post and disappear. I'm like, you know what, that's true. But I feel like it's definitely important to find a balance. Do you think, not do you think, because I know it has, how has being from St. Louis kind of shaped your style and the way you kind of work in your work ethic, I should say?
I think immensely, immensely. Being from St. Louis, it just teaches you honestly to have a good work ethic, to work as hard as you possibly could. Me personally, just understanding how to navigate the world, like you have to wake up really every day and try hard. And life is hard, honestly, just navigating different experiences. So that mindset is just really one of my favorite kind of analogies is like growing like a flower out of concrete. And I feel like a lot of kids, a lot of people from St. Louis had the same experience, and I think that kind of helped shape PrayForMe as well. Just that analogy and that concept and that thinking. It's really St. Louis. It's St. Louis.
And I definitely think St. Louis will teach you how to have a good work ethic. Because I remember seeing something a couple years ago when it was like St. Louis has the most Black female entrepreneurs. So just little stuff like that just goes to show
crazy
how it is. So do you think that St. Louis gets enough recognition in fashion compared to larger markets?
I would say definitely not. And there's various reasons why. We in the Midwest. A lot of the immediate attraction and notification comes from East and West, not necessarily like the Midwest or the middle of the country. So, but St. Louis is very unique. I feel like everybody has their own style. I feel like as a whole, we probably nowadays, me personally, and you probably don't think this, but me personally, I feel like we could probably be a little bit more progressive as far as certain facets, not even just style or fashion in particular, but I think it's to each his own. Everybody has their own, swag. We're not, people gonna do them at the end of the day. So
I definitely think it's underrated. And I will say, there's been times where I went out of town and kind of looked around dressed.
No, for
and
sure.
I'm it's kind of tacky. What does your creative process look like? Or I guess, where do you usually get your inspiration?
My creative process is kind of sporadic, honestly. I feel like I get inspired by literally everything. My experiences, people I talk to, the people I'm around. My main inspirations growing up, I probably say was Kanye, Lil Wayne, Pharrell, Nigo. I could go on, but different athletes,
So
honestly.
artists,
As I started to get older, I different artists like Basquiat, Andy Warhol, variety of other different artists. Takashi Murakami. My first CD was Graduation, and he did the artwork, of course, for Graduation. So as a kid, I was kind of geeked, just growing up and learning about all these different artists and whatnot. So I feel like that's definitely where everything kind of derived from.
That's cool. What's been the hardest part of building a business and just establishing yourself?
The hardest part, I feel like, really just building a business, being established, because there's so many different factors that kind of comes into it, depending on what you do for your business. So I would say proximity. Purely, I feel like it's my biggest hardship, just being in St. Louis and trying to navigate different ways to connect to people in the city and outside the city. It's kind of difficult being in St. Louis, especially being in design art. We have immense and crazy art scene.
I agree.
But, I feel like after you get to necessarily a certain point, or you get to a certain threshold, it's kind of you hit the ceiling here, and it's kind of hard to navigate necessarily just touching other bases and expanding. And that's really what I've been focused on this year, and trying to hit another gear next year. So
do you feel like you've hit that ceiling in St. Louis? You've kind of done?
I would say so, but honestly, no, because I could do a lot more. You know what I mean? I could do a lot more here, as far as community development and just expanding PrayForMe in general, and my own design skills. But I feel like I have done a lot to the point where I'm starting to hit that threshold, and it's kind of just navigating that and just constantly, expanding. So
that makes sense. So I know you collaborated with a lot of celebrities, even like Young Thug, Anicia, Bees. Is there? I'm sure there's probably more. But how did you kind of go about getting your pieces out there? Like Young Thug, that's big.
I know it's crazy.
That's big.
Honestly,
so
Thug's one of my favorite artists. Like,
I feel like
I'm a fan of it, shit. But honestly, just kind of making connections, being genuine, building relationships with people, and just taking risks on social media, navigating different ways, and just being creative, trying to reach out to people. You know, if you can't directly get in contact with them, you could probably connect or contact somebody that's in relation to them. You know what I mean? The V situation, I really hit him. He was like, you know, he had a show in St. Louis. I think it was him. Face, they was on like the Jack Harlow tour or something in the pageant.
Yeah.
And I hit him on Instagram when he said that he was in St. Louis, and one of my close, not even my close friends, so one of my close friends, Maddie Woods, he used to work with this photographer, this videographer, who had did some work for V's. And me and bro was cool, so he had DM'd me. He was like, well, if you're trying to get in contact with V's, I think I still got one of his old lines, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, bro, send it to me. Because when I had DM V's initially about being in St. Louis, he just liked the messages, but he didn't respond.
So when I hit him,
exactly. Yeah. So when I hit him, I'm finna text this nigga, bro, and then I text him, sent him the pictures again. He was like, yeah, just pull up in the pageant parking lot at this time, blah blah blah. I hopped on the bus, you know, showed him hella gear. But we just locked in, and then I had sent him some more stuff, probably like a couple months later. And then he definitely, you know, fucked with it. Obviously, he was wearing
That's so cool. I love these. Oh my God.
Concerts, all that. It's just making them connections. And we are human beings at the end of the day. So, like, if your product, your art, whatever you're doing, your business, if it's like good quality work, people gonna connect and embrace it regardless. Because we are humans. So I think that's important to keep in mind too when you trying to connect with celebrities or you know, influencers or whoever. You know, we are just regular people at the end of the day.
I love that. That's real cool. So how do you give back and stay connected with your community through your work?
So in multiple ways, honestly. I had built the concept. I connected with a variety of different creators in St. Louis to do like the tornado disaster relief, the Z or T campaign. So we did like a group concept design, released the T, and donated like 100% of the funds to 2 Black families who experienced, you know, or were impacted by the tornado. And that was super fun, just getting an opportunity to be creative and figure out different way to give back. Outside of that, though, in my like professional career, I'm not gonna say exactly where I work, but currently, like full time, because I'm super multifaceted, and to help fund PrayForMe since I've been out of college, I also been working full time. So my current job, I work with like at-risk teams in St. Louis as far as like career development. Helping provide like different mental health and behavioral services, and just like wraparound services. That's the organization I work for. They kind of learn like a trade and whatnot, get their education and certification. So yeah, that's been super fun. Just being able to impact people directly in the city and give back to, you know, kids that was in similar experiences, or I feel like that I see myself in when I was young, you know. So
I love that. And then with the whole tornado thing, it was a very sad, terrible thing to happen in St. Louis. But it was also nice to see how many people were able to come together and kind of just help each other out after that. Even though I tried to do what I can. I went to the store, bought some essentials, and you know, make sure they got.
It's what really levels to like the connectivity of the city, how close and fast everybody embraced each other.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a beautiful thing to see in the midst of all that, you know, tragedy and whatnot, but for sure.
All right. If you could describe PrayForMe in 3 words, what would they be?
3 words. That's not a lot. Look, the first word I would say innovative. And I would say that because that's the main thing that me personally, and I feel like my group of friends that I work with have been trying to push in St. Louis and just in general, in our personal lives and in the creative community here, is just being innovative, pushing the status quo, Um, number one was innovative. Number two, I would say um, expression, because that's the one of the main facets that made me create the brand. Um, just wanting to be able to express myself in different avenues, creatively through painting, fashion design, photography, whatever I really clinged onto when I was younger. And I'm still doing that. That's really what kind of pushed me. And number three, I would say it's kind of tough. 3 words.
Yeah.
Great word. Number three, I would say progressive.
Okay.
Progressive, and in a sense, more so like we're building a community. The art that we're creating and pushing is progressive in the sense that we're challenging people to think and really like want to express themselves, honestly. So.
How do you handle like creative block? Because I know it's something all creatives experience at some point. So how do you want to deal with that?
Creative block, it's hard because as a creative, and I feel like in life, what I kind of learned, especially as a creative, is that you kind of have to navigate the experience and every emotion. That's kind of one of my favorite Nipsey quotes. Is you're gonna go through different experiences in life, but you have to go through each phase and kind of experience every emotion, whether that's being angry, happy, sad, like the way life is built. You're not always gonna feel the same way every day when you wake up. So just understanding that, and as I've grown older, creative blocks are crazy because you could be so busy in your everyday life and not having like the inspiration or the motivation to create is difficult. But I feel like you get through it just by living life and having grace with yourself and trying to seek inspiration, mainly seek inspiration, travel, live more, and just try to have a little bit more fun. That's what I do. So.
Most definitely. I feel like I do similar stuff. Just being able to go out and see something other than what you see every day, you know. Because I work a lot too, so I don't know. It'd be hard to kind of get lost in the work.
Seriously.
And then when you do have free time, you just want to chill.
Yeah, it's limited. Your time is not super. And time, I feel like, is one of the most valuable things. So just trying to find time to seek inspiration or travel, I think is important. Or, get out your comfort zone. So.
Where do you see yourself and PrayForMe within the next, 5 to 10 years?
That's a great question. Honestly, it's a concept that I feel like it's going, and I've been trying to get in the habit of planning ahead more. Me personally, I feel like I want to expand my design skills in terms of like airbrushing, sewing. Recently, I've been thinking about going back to school and getting my master's in design. And that helped me navigate, other channels too. As far as PrayForMe, as I said, I really just want to build PrayForMe to the biggest that it could be and reach as many people that I could possibly reach and connect with, and relate to me and relate to the community of the brand. As far as how big it gets or how big I personally get, it's up to God at the end of the day. But my personal goal is just to keep expanding my skill set, and hopefully that would help PrayForMe as well in relation. So, but I feel like PrayForMe, I want to get into more cut and sew work, more popular shops out of the St. Louis and different cities, Chicago, Atlanta, different places that I definitely need to touch. What else? Connecting with different other brands, I feel like outside and locally, I think would be super fun. I've been wanting to work with a lot of my friends and a lot of other creators here, and like I said, out of the city, it's a lot of talented people. But that's mainly, I feel like, the goals in 5 to 10 years. I don't know exactly how that would look, but I am planning right now, trying to create a vision of what it would look like. So that's my goal.
I love that. And then, do you have a specific brand or person that you either have worked with and you've always wanted to work with them, or haven't worked with them yet and would like to?
It's a lot of people I want to work with, and I'm not just gonna name everybody. I feel like one person definitely that I will be working with is one of my close friends, Stan. Stan Nord by Stan Nord, that's his brand. We've been trying to connect and build different designs and whatnot. We had a lot of experience at the suit, working together and whatnot. That's my brother. It's a lot of people I want to work with, honestly, though. It's a lot, and I feel like as time probably transpires, I get the opportunity to connect with them more.
Check them out.
But I definitely want to keep building. Pray for me right now to the point where, like, when it is time, I could, navigate that. So
that makes sense. What's one piece of advice you would give to any creative that doesn't know where to start?
One piece of advice, I would say, just learn and don't be scared to fail and just embrace the learning process. Seek inspiration and build off of that inspiration, honestly. And that's what I did. It's not being like creative or just being in any type of industry or field. I feel like you just have to embrace the journey that, the beginning experience, when you actually successful in the field. Embrace every step because, you'll look back once you are further ahead and be like, well, I really did that. Or I really took a risk and I took a chance on myself to do this and that or whatever, you're doing personally. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And even with me, like I've always wanted to start my podcast, but when I did it, so it was my senior year of college. But before that, I was like, once I graduate and get my life together, then I'm going to start. But then I had to realize that I don't have to have my life together to start now.
Nah, seriously.
And I'm happy I did because even, I think when I first reached out to you about coming on the podcast, I had just recorded my first episode. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm doing interviews, another interview like every month. But my first interview was last month, and I just hit a year. So it just kind of goes to show.
Congrats.
Thank you. So it just kind of goes to show that like it takes time to really, get comfortable and get yourself into it.
It takes time to get in that mode and get comfortable and build, momentum. And it's just one of my favorite things that I can't think who like really said it. A lot of people say this, but they say like, do it now, do it scared. You know what I mean? And that's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
So take a risk on yourself.
For sure.
If you don't take a risk on yourself, who will?
Who will? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
Piece of advice I'll give to my younger self. I feel like I would say go like full speed ahead and listen to your intuition. I would say that life will change and go through different phases, and it will get trying, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be amazing. And that's kind of what I say. Stay motivated, because that's kind of when I was younger. I was kind of super introverted, and like I said, I wasn't super expressive and whatnot. So just finding different channels like art, fashion, express myself, it did wonders as far as like me personally, me learning how to communicate more. So that's what I say to my younger self.
So I know you said that you started when you were in college, right? So do you have, I know there's a lot of time, a lot of art. Do you have like a favorite piece that you created or a favorite, even project that you've worked on at all?
I think, cause I've done so much work since college, and I feel like my creativity really kind of sparked in high school. But my favorite piece in terms of like PrayForMe, I would probably say is the recent Virgil Forever piece. It's crazy, like cutting so heavy, airbrushed on the front and then screen printed on the back. Everything I do is for the 17-year-old version of myself. That's one of my favorite Virgil quotes. And Virgil, he was one of my bigger influences and still is to this day. That's one of my favorite pieces, R.P. Virgil. What else? As far as paintings, when I was in college, I did a crazy ass like 5 feet, like True Religion, like 3-piece type collection for art class final. And I aced the final, of course. But the larger piece was crazy. It was like a person wearing like stacked True Religion denim jeans. In my class, they was like, why would he paint this? But they kind of didn't get the concept, of course, being at a PWY.
Yeah, I was about to say,
that's one of my favorite pieces, though, because it's not like super serious or like a lot of concept. It's just like art. I feel like art could be fun.
For sure, always.
You know, art could be anything, what you want it to be. So that was one of my favorite pieces.
Okay. And then what legacy do you want PrayForMe to leave behind?
The legacy that I want PrayForMe to leave behind is just forward thinking, and innovative designs, storytelling, the Black and African American experience, and influencing the youth. Honestly.
So what should people expect from PrayForMe next?
Right now, I'm working on like a lot of fall and winter pieces. PrayForMe, like the stuff that's about to be released is like in a different like world from like the past work I've done. I feel like the past 2 years I really just been trying to go into a different space and just work on like world building and storytelling. That's the basis of the brand in itself. But the new like pieces that are about to release, fall, winter, like related pieces. I'm not gonna say exactly what they are, but we recently just like found the art studio space, so like I got a lot more time and more like a better environment to work in now. So we're gonna be doing a lot of work out of there. Just stay tuned. Yeah, be ready. But yeah, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be crazy.
All right, and then lastly, where can people find you on social media? And I'll put it on the screen for you.
Sure. People can find me first. PrayForMe is why PrayForMe, WHY PrayForMe, on all channels, and then Instagram, Zayahead, ZAEAHEAD. I think that's about it. Those are my channels on Instagram, Twitter.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming. I enjoyed the interview.
It.
If you stayed this long, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune into the next episode of Girl With You.